Tonight we're going to talk about how to silently, I love you too, Crystal, screen a player. The key word tonight is silently. I say silently because you don't want to let the person know that you are on to them. You've got to keep your mouth closed as you go through the screening process. Now, let me start out by saying, Chaplain Celine Haskins is watching. There was an episode of Seinfeld, I'm a Seinfeld fan, where Elaine kept going to this Korean nail shop to get her feet done. And every time that she would get there, and many of you probably witnessed it, you know, they can talk in English and they can talk in Korean. But every time she got there, they instantly switched from English and started talking to Korean. God bless you, Chaplain Haskins. God bless you and your husband tonight. My regards to your husband as well. I'm so glad that he is here with us. And he'll be able to attest on a lot of things I say tonight. But Elaine from Seinfeld was going to this Korean shop to get her nails done, her feet done. And every time that she walked in, the ladies would start speaking Korean. They would break from the English and start talking Korean to each other. They would start talking, you know, in their language, and they would start laughing. So Elaine kind of felt some kind of way, and she was like, okay, they're talking about me, because every time I come in, they're talking English, but then they switch up and start talking Korean, and they're like, I don't understand what they say. No, I don't understand what they're saying, and they're laughing. So she found out that George's father, you remember George from Seinfeld, the bald-head guy, George's father was in the military, and when he was in the military, he's assigned to be in Korea. And while he was in Korea, he learned the language, the Korean language. And also, in addition to that, he also dated a woman who was Korean. So between living in Korea and dating a woman who's from Korea, he was able to pick up another language, and he was able to speak fluently. So once Elaine discovered this, she asked George's father if he could come with her to the next time she goes to get her nails or her feet done, just to see what they were saying about her. So sure enough, you know, George's father, his name is Frank. Frank went with Elaine to the Korean nail shop, foot shop. And as soon as they walked in, they immediately, again, do what they normally did. They switched up. Dewey Upshaw's in the house tonight. Tony Scales is in the house tonight. They immediately switched up and started talking in Korean. And so Frank acted like he didn't know that he knew what they were talking about. And they, of course, they accused Elaine of going out with this older man, because, you know, Frank is an older man there. And they also was talking about her feet and stuff. So, but later on he picked up everything he could, heard all of the things, and he was able to bust them out. You know, I speak Korean, you know, and he said, I know everything that you were saying about my friend Elaine, and I don't appreciate it. So tonight, you know, the reality is we men have our own language. Okay, you missed it already. We men have our own language, especially players. And many of us men there's several men, I'm not going to say many men, but there are several men who are watching me right now who have been redeemed, and we know the game. Rob Herbert's in the house tonight. We know the game. So Minister Jermaine Minor is watching tonight. We all know the game because we've either played it or we've seen it so well we know it down cold. There's a special language that men speak, especially players. We have our own language, our own dialect, our own thinking that is completely our own. Steve Harvey was right when he wrote about women should act like a woman but think like a man, because we have our own flow. And if you can't detect our language, you will find yourself used, abused, and played. I'm going to say that again. We have our own language. If you can't detect our own language, you will find yourself used, abused, and played. I made a post today about loneliness. When you are alone, when you are lonely, and I'm talking about desperately lonely, a lot of the things that a man is telling you, you're letting them go right by, and you're not detecting what the man is actually saying. Tonight, I want to mention to you, because that loneliness is connected to your heart. And a lot of times because of loneliness, we allow things to go directly to the heart, which should not happen. And once we start judging things according to the heart, we end up at times deceiving ourselves. Have you ever fallen in love with somebody who's no good for you? Have you ever fallen in love with somebody who you know doesn't have your best interest in heart, but you fell in love with them anyway, and you stayed in love with them for a period of time until you were able to break free? Many of you haven't been able to break free. You're still in love with your abuser. I have somebody that I know, somebody that's real close to me. A person abused them. And even though they abused them and took from them in a single transaction, I hope y'all can catch me what I'm saying. Even though they hated what they did to them, they still have a sense of love for that person. And I always wanted to know, I'm like, how could you love that person after what they've done to you? But these are matters of the heart. I want to give you a scripture for your hearing. Proverbs 28:26 says, "He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool." I'm going to say it again. Proverbs 28:26 says, King James Version, "He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool, but whoso walketh wisely shall be delivered." Why am I here tonight? I'm here tonight because we're going to help you to teach you to walk wisely so that you can be delivered from being a fool. Oh, let me help you tonight. It's all about understanding what a person is saying. Couple of things which I'm going to repeat some of my previous things that I've said before, but this should help you. We've all watched the movie Boomerang. I've said it over and over. I'm going to say it one more time. We watched the movie Boomerang with Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence, David Allen Greer, Robin Gibbons. Apostle Listine Bell is watching. We thank God for her tonight. Treat every man you meet, you got to give them the skunk eye, okay? But don't let them see you give them a skunk eye, okay? Treat every man as if they're Marcus Graham from Boomerang until they prove otherwise. So don't go in with any preconceived notions. Have you ever, men and women, have you ever been excited about wanting something? I'm not even just talking about somebody, about wanting something, maybe a position, a job. It could be an item. It could be, something, it could be a phone. It could be whatever it is, a car. It could be a purchase. You were so excited about it, that you failed to see some of the downfalls in having it. There was an episode on Star Trek, the original series, where Spock's supposedly wife, there was a thing called Pon farr, and that was a time that Vulcans had to mate. I think it was once every 7 years. And they had to be with their mate, or it was physiologically going to change them, and they could actually die if they were apart from their mate. But this thing was called Pon farr, and it was Spock's time to reunite with his wife, and he was out in space. And so he had to get to Vulcan immediately to connect with his wife, or he was going to die. I mean, it's a physiological thing with Vulcans. So, but in his traveling back, everything came up on the screen. You could actually communicate by screen, like the technology today, like, FaceTime or whatever. His wife came on the screen, and all of a sudden there was this man who showed up, who had basically, I guess he had been seeing Spock's wife, and because Spock was out in space, which that's a whole nother topic that I could probably preach about, because many times men could be out in space and lose out. But that's a whole nother topic. I'm not going there. But since Spock was out in space, his woman was lonely and needed to find solace in another human being. And there was this man that wanted this woman. So during this time, as he was traveling on his way back to Vulcan, this man challenged him, saying that once you got to Vulcan, I want this woman, your wife, I want this woman, and I'm going to challenge you to a physical duel, and it's going to be a fight unto the death. Long story short, Spock got to Vulcan. The fight did not occur because it was a long story, but at the end, Spock told this guy off. But he basically said, you can have her. He said, but you're going to find out that sometimes wanting, he said to him, is not as, he said, sometimes having is not you'll find out it's not the same, doesn't have all the awesome things that you think of as when you are wanting. Spock told him off. So Spock basically told him, you want her because you don't have her, but you're going to find out in this that having her isn't going to be the same as the things that you were thinking about when you were wanting her. So what am I saying? I'm saying all this to say we have all wanted something so bad, a position at work, a person, a thing, but we wanted it so bad that we failed to see the downside. Oh, I wish I had somebody. The downside. There's a downside to everything there's a downside to you. There's a downside to them. Are you taking on a lot of debt? Are you taking on a lot of emotional baggage in this person? Are you taking on a complete fool? Are you taking on somebody else's heartache? I said before that a lot of times we men, love hides a multitude of sin and faults. A man sometimes who appears to have it going on is actually been catapulted in the background by a woman. Okay, what am I saying? A man that you admire in church, on your job, a man that you in your street, a man that you know in town, that could seemingly have it so much going on. He may not have it all going on because of him solely. The car he's driving, a woman could have co-signed for it. Or you're not with me. Many men who are divorced have to start over. Financially, they take a big hit. So a man who seemingly has it going on could be a product of a woman in the background who's helped him, who's elevated his status that you know nothing about. And you get this man, and now you've got to be the person to take all that responsibility. All right. I might have gone too far from you. I'm just trying to help you. I'm saying all that I'm saying tonight to say, don't get so caught up in the beginning over the surface things that you see in a man. You must treat them silently. Don't let them know. Treat them as their Marcus Graham. Treat them as, okay, this person is possibly a player. Now, if they're going to have to, there's going to be a process here that I'm going to have, my secret process, my own secret screening process, so I can discover who you are. When a person interviews you for a job, I've done it. I've had staff. I've had up to 40, 50 people under me. I've hired people for jobs. There's a bunch of things that I'm looking for in my mind that I'm not giving to the person that I'm interviewing. Oh, you missed it. There are certain expectations. There are certain questions that I'm asking. They're actually necessary. I don't want to say trick questions, but they're questions along those lines to see if you're the right candidate for the job. I have in mind what I need for my company. I have in mind what I need to take in to my company. And there's some things that I need to know that I'm not going to reveal to you, but I'm going to make them just seem like general questions to you. And the more I let you talk, the more I'll know about you. How many of us know that many of us have talked ourselves either into a job or out of a job, depending on what we've said? You could say the wrong thing at the wrong time, not even meaning to say it, and lose out on an opportunity. A man, let me just say this. Many of us up front are sexually driven. Many of us do have morals. We do have standards. Many of us who are about something want more. But overall, there's this overall sexual desire. It was given to us in the beginning, because God wanted us to be fruitful and multiply. So there had to be something that was going to stimulate us to want to do this in order for birth and the spreading of people to take place. It had to be something pleasant. Also, as I've often said, God formed man from the ground. We came from dirt. Every one of us men have dirt inside of us. So there's a nature that has to be governed and honed in. So off the top, many men, I'm not saying all men, many men will sleep with a woman on a first date. They will sleep with a woman without having to know her name. They will pay. They will travel. They'll drive 3 hours one way. They will take a flight across the country. They will do whatever, to sleep with someone that they don't know and don't care about. So all these things, you're going to have to be the gatekeepers as the woman and separate yourself. Okay, question. Start questioning certain things. You already know how to act. How to silently screen a player. I'm going to give you an example. One of my friends reached out to me on Facebook, and she said, there's this guy in my town. He's here on a contract assignment for his job. He's staying here I think he said he's been here for a couple of weeks. We went out on one date, and he was very gentlemanlike. He dropped me off, he dropped me off, and, we went on the date. Everything went well. Then he asked me his last assignment. He was finishing his assignment up on a Friday, and he's going to have to go back home to his town. And he asked, could they wanted to go out. He wanted to meet her one more time. Now, this woman was thinking about relationships. She said the guy was so nice on the first date. He was thinking, she was thinking all these good things about him. He could, do you think he might be, she was asking me, do you think he might be the one? How should I consider this date, and how should I handle this date? One thing you've got to understand, if you're dealing with anything like this in terms of a crunch time, okay, he had time in the beginning to just take her out or whatever, to sort of, sometimes these dates are to let your guard down. The date goes by, again, watch this. When you go out with a person, as you think you get to know them, the more you watch them and the more you spend time with them, the more you let your guard down. The more things that you offer, as you become comfortable with them. Places that I frequent in terms of businesses, I frequented Starbucks a lot. There's a lot of times I go in, the coffees, they say the coffee's on me. Once the people get to know you, they let you do things. And when you let people in your life, the more you allow them into your life. So the person, what he did was, that first date was a date to get to know him as him pretending to be a gentleman and let everything else. But now here's crunch time. This man has to go back home. It's that the Friday's coming up. So she contacted me on a Thursday, and I said, okay, you need to ask him, what are we doing? Where are we going? What's the date going to entail? And I said, that's going to mean a lot, because if he doesn't have a plan, because she mentioned to me, she said on Thursday, he said that he wants me to meet him in the hotel lobby. And I said, okay, I'm like, something don't sound right. This is the last date. Why would he, he took you out before. Why is it that you've got to meet him in the hotel lobby? And I think the point was they were going to sit and talk for a little while and then segue from there to whatever. But the part, this is where the silently screening process needs to take place. He didn't have a plan. I said, okay, I want you to ask him, call him up on Friday during the day and say, okay, okay, I know you said you want to meet at the hotel. What's the plan for the night? Where are we going? I said, use the excuse, watch this, ladies, that you want to know how to dress. Should I dress up? Should I wear jeans? Where we're going, so I need to know, should it be dress casual? Use that as the excuse to kind of see if he has something planned. Let me interject something real quickly right here. I want you to take this as a principle. Principle number 2, because the first principle was treat every man as if they're Marcus Grant from Boomerang. Principle number 2 is a man, you can tell how a man thinks of you according to where he takes you. Oh, you missed it. I'm going to say it one more time. Principle number 2 tonight. Where a man takes you has a lot to say about how he thinks about you. Okay. Now, when I say it doesn't have to necessarily, everything doesn't have to be Ruth Chris. It doesn't have to be, $100 a plate deal. It doesn't have to be a fancy restaurant. But you take your, if you're married, you take your wife to a regular restaurant. But it should be something, a restaurant. It should be a nice, decent place. I have a friend, and I'm gonna get back to the hotel thing, but all of this segueing is connecting back to my hotel story. Olive Garden. Matter of fact, I took my wife to Olive Garden. That was our first date. We met after church. I had to go to church. I said, I'll meet you at our Olive Garden. She drove her car. I drove my car. She went from home. I left from church. We met there, and we had an awesome time. But that was our first date. Okay, but let me say this: the places where he takes you has a lot to do with what he thinks about you. I have a friend who met this guy, and he said, I want to meet, first date, I want to meet you. Can we meet in this parking lot so we can talk? And I told my friend, I said, tell that guy, absolutely no. This is ridiculous. You mean to tell me this is what you think of me? You want to take me, you want me to meet you in an oily, greasy, dirty parking lot for our first date so we can talk? That's telling me, this is how you silently screen a player. He's telling you that he doesn't think enough about you, he doesn't want to spend any money on you. He wants to get you in the parking lot, get you in his car, start the kissing, press buttons, get you all heated up like an oven to see if he can take what he can take from you. That is the most insulting thing that I've almost ever heard. A parking lot, a greasy, nasty parking lot. A grown man. Somebody said boys, where boys would normally say meet. That's letting you know right there what they're thinking of you. Sex connected with lust. I'm getting back to the hotel story. But sex connected with lust is a very cheap thing. That means that you pull open the back seat of a car in a mall parking lot, they'll lay back there with you. You know, it's a very cheap thing. Lust connected with that plan just to sleep with you one time. You know, a lot of times they don't want to spend any money. Okay. So the hotel situation. So I said, call him Friday during the day and ask him where we're going so that way I know how to dress. Do you know when she called him, he had Renee Walker's watching. God bless you, my friend. You know, he had no plan. He said, we'll go to the lobby. Just meet me in the lobby tonight and we'll start talking from there and just kind of sort of see where it goes. Now, this date is really important because, Doc, you're leaving. You've been in town for 2 weeks. You've only been out on one date. Now you're getting ready to leave. You know, if you're building something with this woman, you really want to make sure that is some place of substance, something that she will remember, something very nice, and you know, all of that. What is the deal? Why do we need to meet in your hotel lobby and sit down in your hotel lobby and talk? That makes absolutely no sense. She called me back and told me that he told her that. And I said, you know, I need you to call him back. My cousin, Angela Curfey Burfoot is watching. God bless you, Angela, is watching. Ask him why we're not going in. Why we're not going anywhere specific. He wouldn't answer the phone. So I guess he was sleeping. He said he'd get some rest for that date. But he said to meet her downstairs at 7 o'clock, 6:30, whatever it was. She went. I think she said she went. She went there, and he didn't show up. No. Matter of fact, no. She did not go. She called him, and she called him on where are we going? How come we don't have anything planned? You know, the whole bit. He never called her back. He never called her back to confirm Friday night. She never met him. Once she called him out, that confirmed, because his thing was, again, you're silently screening the player. His thing was to get her in the hotel lobby, order some drinks, boom, catch you off guard, you know, see if there's a possibility, because now you're in the building with the room. You see that? You know, you're already there. So, hey, why don't you come on up? We relax. See, what the enemy wants you to do is to get you relaxed. The enemy wants to catch you off guard. So if they can get you to the scene of the crime, of the proposed crime, get you relaxed. Okay, Claudia Wynn could say, yeah, you know, like order pizza. You know, catch you off guard. Okay, yo, why don't you coming up? We're gonna get some pizza. Boom, we already got the drink. Take the drinks upstairs. Boom. We just relax until what they'll let you think is we're sitting and talking down here. We're gonna sit and talk up there, just a little bit more comfortable. Reading through what a person is saying is paramount. When you're getting to know a man, you're going out on a date, pay very close attention to how long it takes before anything sexual in any shape or form comes up. You may think it's cute. It is not cute. You may think it's funny. Tell a joke or something. It's not funny. This is your soul and your life on the line. Do you know how many people I counsel who've contracted STDs that they can't get rid of from first or second dates? that they could not do anything. I mean, that they were caught off guard. Do you know how many people who have lasting STDs or even AIDS from a first or second time encounter, being caught off guard with the charm of someone? And many times when somebody gives you this, they won't even acknowledge that they have it. They'll tell you, oh, you didn't get that from me, I don't have it, knowing good and well that they have it. These are dangerous times. This is your chance to not be caught off guard. Don't let loneliness or matters of the heart allow you to be caught off guard. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't get your spirit and your body under subjection, your spirit and your body from your spirit are going to create needs that you may feel need to be satisfied. I hope y'all are still with me, because this is very important. And these needs that will make you feel that they need to be satisfied can easily be dialed up by a kiss, can easily be dialed up by being caressed a certain way, can easily be dialed up just by a few minutes of being caught off guard. And once the body and the soul is heated up in that manner, the product is ready to be put into the oven. Y'all remember I talked about the Easy Bake Oven. Y'all need to go back and catch that. It's on YouTube under my name. Go back and watch that video about the Easy Bake Oven. Many men have treated women as an easy bake oven. Again, once the oven is heated, that's when the product is inserted. Okay? So you've got to take this time not to let, again, your loneliness, matters of the heart, needs of the body, of this sinful flesh. The sinful flesh never has a stopping point. In the flesh, again, it's your spirit that's going to stop this. But in your flesh does not have a stopping point. My mother always used to tell me, I'm repeating this so you remember. When I had goldfish, said, son, don't overfeed the fish. She would say, don't feed the fish too much, because fish, those flakes you pour into the tank? Fish, watch this, don't have a stomach. Oh, Lord have mercy. And some of you, because of the things that you've been through, you no longer have a stomach that is able to detect when you're full. Oh, Lord, I wish I had somebody. And because you don't have a stomach, and because fish don't have a stomach, they will keep eating and eating and eating until they die. Your flesh does not have a stopping point. So when your flesh is heated up, it's very difficult to say no. Remember I said about familiarity, getting to know a person? Many of us are not, we have no problem saying no to new folk, but we have a problem saying no, watch this, to the old folk. There are some old folk in our lives that we're very familiar with, and we've made up in our mind, well, I know they ain't got nothing. I know they're not going to complicate my matters anymore, but I've got these things in my flesh. I know I can go to them, and I know that they can handle my situation, this situation with my flesh. And then next thing you know, you're caught up. Every time they call, boom, you're right back. Every time they call, boom, that fish food. You no longer have a stomach that's able to detect and do what it needs to do. Just like that fish. I want to give you another example. This is going to blow you away about fish, about a fish. I'm going to give you something here. And this is what we're doing tonight because we want you to be made whole here. Watch this. A sick goldfish, watch this. A sick goldfish only touches food that sinks to the bottom. Oh, Lord have mercy. Let me say it one more time. A sick goldfish, like fish that are well, when you put the frosted flakes up top there, they go right up top and get it. But a sick goldfish doesn't have the energy to go up to the top to get the fresh food when it's first put up there. A sick goldfish only touches food that sinks to the bottom. So when you're not whole, when you're not spiritually whole, you start to take the stuff and start feeding off the bottom. Oh, Lord help. And many of you have gotten so low that you've only taken, and it's not just laziness, Rob. It's not. Sometimes you're just sick and you become to the point complacent, and you don't have the energy and the willpower, amen, to get the good food that you're eating the bottom, and the stuff that you're eating off the bottom. A lot of times fish die because they are eating from the food that's at the bottom, that also those rocks after a while are contaminated with the algae and the things of the tank. And those things that hide between the rocks. And as you feed, you're already sick. But as you're feeding at the bottom of the tank, I didn't mean to go to church on y'all and go into the preacher thing. But yes, Sarah Mitchell, yes, sir. As you're feeding, you're starting to feed off of that dead stuff, and it ends up killing the fish even quicker. So what am I saying? You silently screen by making sure that you are, first of all, whole, making sure that you are not vulnerable, making sure that you are not sick, making sure that you are not in the place where you're a sick fish feeding from the bottom of the tank. You go back and sleep with your ex or your friend or somebody that you know, you're at the bottom. You're feeding from the bottom of the tank, and you're going to catch a lot of stuff. All right. Let me go back to my lesson. When you silently screen a man, you want to look out for if this person has integrity. You won't even have to ask certain questions. Their integrity will come out in their conversation. There's certain things that they're going to say that's going to let you know if this person has any integrity. Do they have any morals? Their conversations, several conversations with this person will let you know, do they have any morals? Do they have a strong conviction for treating women right? If you're listening, a man will let you know if they have strong convictions concerning women and treating them right. How does a man feel about his ex? What is he saying about his ex? You can be upset with your ex, especially if they have children from that person, because that gives a whole different meaning. There should be something, no matter what a person has done, just the fact that they had and bore your children, they deserve, there should be a certain way that you speak about the person, no matter what they've done. How does that person view other women of their past? Listen to what they say about the person. One thing I say about Prophetess Juanita Bynum, which you could say, she's had some trouble, some difficulty. But one thing I have to say, I was reading a book, and she said that she wasn't going to go back and trash any of her exes. Her ex-husband, she wasn't going to go back and trash them in her book. And I had a lot of respect for what she said. And so now I'm going to flip it back to the man thing. Because what a man says about a woman, if it's vicious and evil, and there's no, I mean, you know what I'm saying, that hidden resentment a lot of times will show up in your relationship if you get that far with a man. So I'm going to say it again. Previous resentment for women or an ex, I didn't say will, but can show up in the next relationship. So you need to watch out how he feels. Okay? Another example, when you're talking to a man maybe that goes to church. I've got a friend who actually asked me to do this show tonight, segment tonight. She's actually watching. She asked me to do this tonight and to sort of explain, because there was this man that she went to church with. She's been going to church with this man, and they've been in the same congregation for years. So he approached her and said that he had an interest in her. And the first couple of conversations that he had on the phone, he immediately was doing his own screening. Watch this. So the topic tonight is how to silently screen a player. One of the ways, this is a church player now. Let's get to the church players and even the non-church players, but church player in particular. How to silently screen a church player is to see if they're screening you. Because what they're going to do, a man isn't going to silently screen you. He's actually going to vocally, audibly, he's going to screen you with questions during your first few conversations. So if his agenda is foul in the first couple of conversations, if the person's interest is not about genuine dating and finding out if you're a person that they could be with, it's going to come out in the first couple of conversations. They're going to screen you. If their motive is sex, they're going to, and we men think we're being slick by it, but I'm teaching you tonight to look for the Marcus Grahams from Boomerang, the players, okay? Again, so they're going to be asking you certain questions. And as they're screening you vocally, audibly, you're silently screening them and taking notes. So he asked her, first of all, he started out with, I'm halfway saved. What kind of foolishness is that? I've never heard of that before. What in the world does that mean, you halfway saved? Why would you even declare, am I supposed to give you some brownie points? Is that supposed to, praise the Lord, brother. You're halfway saved. You're halfway there. What kind of foolishness? God said, I'd rather, either have you hot or cold. Because if you're lukewarm, I'm going to what? I'm going to spew you out of my mouth. So this guy here starts out talking about, I'm halfway saved. Now, if you're screening, Sharon, it's absolutely funny. What in the world is that mess? That's a mess right there. Or you're right, hysterical. Lynn, carnal, actually, Gloria Rivers, yes, seriously. Kimberly, amen. So, he's halfway saved. That was his pronouncement. That was his pronouncement, his confession, his declaration of the first conversation. What he's saying is he's setting the stage for, I go to church, but I'm ready to deal with the sex when it comes time to it. You see what I'm saying? Right there. I go to church, But when church is over, I want sex. That's silently screening a player right there. That halfway crap. That's foolishness from the pit of hell. Okay? Right there. That was him probing her. Okay? Probing her to see, is like they used to say back in the day, if she was down with the get down. Okay? Probing. So that was his first question to sort of screen her. Then he went into, what do you think about having sex when you're dating, or having, not even say dating, I think he said having sex when you're not married. And she said, I don't believe in that. I believe in keeping my body, for my husband. I don't believe in. He said, well, I don't think I can do that. He said, I can't do that. He said, I can't do that. See, that's where that halfway crap came from. He was setting the stage to see. Yes, he was testing her, Katrina. Testing her to see if she was down with the get down. Okay. To see if possibly that she would be, watch this, lonely enough. Remember I mentioned that in the beginning? Or two, possibly, if I can get to your heart. Now, if I get to your heart, that once you get to a person's heart, a lot of times that gives you the keys to certain things. You get to a person's heart, they give you the keys to their car, they give you the keys to their body, they give you the keys to the house. They'll give you keys to things to let you in certain doors if they can get to your heart. But first he had to see if it was possible, if I could get through. This is your screening process, listening to the man. If he's screening you and asking you a lot of questions, many times that we will see, even over the phone, oh, y'all ain't ready for this. If you can be about it in some shape, form, or fashion over the phone, because we know if we can get you in any shape, form, or fashion over the phone to get heated. Y'all with me? I ain't got it. We grown folk. I ain't got to go no further. Then I know that no matter what you say in terms of waiting, that if I can get you heated over the phone, now it ups my chances in terms of when I get to see you, if I can get something to jump off. I'm teaching somebody tonight. Okay? The next thing in the conversation that you need to watch out for early on is the I love you factor. I had a friend that met a man, she didn't get a chance to go out on the first date. He said, I love you, 20, 30 times. I love you, I love you, I love you. And I said, this guy's the road runner, and you're the coyote, even though coyote's the one that was actually stalking the coyote was actually stalking the bird. That basically you're gonna have to catch up to their words, and once you catch up to the words, you'll know exactly what they're saying. That means they're putting out the words so fast that you've got to catch up to what they're actually saying to know if they're telling the truth or not. And of course, that failed. That person that said I love you, I love you, love you, really didn't mean it. They didn't know what they're talking about. But watching out for the I love yous, watching out for the marriage proposals. The Lord told me that you're my wife. Watching out for all of those things, because we men know that most women will not let you into bed unless there's some kind of commitment. They know that many of you women are looking to get married. So we'll say and do a lot of those things that will keep you from having a screening process. Your pen and your pencil the things that'll make you put your pen and your pencil down from the interview and hire them off of pretense. Okay? So this person went on to talk about, I don't think I can do that. Matter of fact, I can't do that. and he's letting the person know. But he was he was asking a lot of different questions. One, to see if he could get her, to see if she's desperate enough. One, to see if she'll do it. Two, to see if she's desperate enough. Three, to see what would happen if I go out on a date with her. So then he proposed to set up this date. The date came. The day of the date came. He was sick. Yeah, okay. He was sick. Watch this. In your screening process, I'm giving y'all a lot tonight. We've got 3 minutes before we close. In your screening process, I'm throwing a lot at you, but you can go back and watch this. In your screening process, you're going to learn everything you need to know. But you got to, again, don't let desperation, don't let love, don't let any of those factors throw you off. Don't play a movie that hasn't begun yet. Don't try to play a movie that hasn't begun yet. That means if they got a nice car, a nice job, don't picture yourself in that car. If they're the pastor, don't picture yourself the first lady. Don't picture yourself, being with them and introducing them to your friends. Oh, this person's going to look so good on my arm when I walk in the door with them. Don't dream. Because when you dream, you're putting your pad and pencil down that's going to allow you to screen the person. Okay? Stay alert. So when they got to the thing here with this person here, with the date, they canceled the date. They were sick. Okay? They never came up with another date. Or date, hey, I was sick, I'm so sorry. Can we go back? Can we try next weekend or next Friday? It was another conversation about all these careful screening questions he's asking her. But at the same time, he didn't realize that she was hip to his game and she was silently screening him. So ladies and gentlemen, don't let a man know that you are on to him. From the jump, from the first conversation, from the inbox messages, watch what they say. Govern every word. Take advantage. Listen, because you are screening. Okay? You're not leaning, but you're screening into what they're saying. They're going to tell you a lot about who they are, and that will let you know. Scripture for tonight was Proverbs 28:26. He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool. You got to leave your heart out of the process for right now. He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool, but whoso walketh wisely shall be delivered. God bless you all. Thank you all for being with me tonight. Good night, and I'll see you next Monday.